Hey everybody, it's Brandy, and you are watching Abstract Crafter. Today's video, we're back with the resin, and we're gonna see what it does on rhinestones, special gems, and accessories. We might even dabble in journals and see what happens. So, if you're curious as I am, then just keep on watching and we will get started on this experiment as soon as we roll those intro credits. Why, hello friends, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We have a fun little experiment today. We are back with the resin. We have our tried and true UV hard resin on one side, and on the opposite side we have the Sophie and Toffee crystal epoxy AB or two-part resin. I have added holographic glitter to both, which you can find anywhere that nail art supplies are sold, and this is just a basic fine cut holographic glitter. It just adds a little bit of added sparkle. It does not take away from anything, as if you watched my last resin video, you will see that in the experiments which we conducted on squares and rounds. So now it's time to see how accessories and rhinestones and special gems fare. Little disclaimers. Make sure you're wearing gloves when you're working with this stuff. Especially the UV resin, if you get it on your hands and then you use a torch like I'm going to be using, you'll harden that stuff right to your skin. It can burn. If you don't like the fumes, if you're sensitive to smells, make sure you're wearing some kind of face mask or respirator. And if you're sloppy and you worry about things getting in your eyes, or you don't wear glasses, wear some safety glasses. If you are under 18, please have permission. If you've never worked with this stuff, parents, guardians, grandparents, whoever takes care of you, make sure you have their permission before working with this stuff. So now that that's out of the way, we're gonna cover both sides. We're gonna start with the UV resin so that it can harden on the one side. Then we'll flip it over and we'll put down the two-part resin, let that set for 24 hours, and we will test a little bit on this journal. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I didn't mix up that much resin, but I want to test it on at least on the sides, where when you're opening it along the spine, you can see how it bends right on there, that at least they won't go anywhere. I have an old paintbrush here. I'm going to try this on some of it to get that coat to be really thin, because you don't need a thick layer like I had in the last video, which will be linked up in the eye and down below for your watching convenience. So if you're curious about what I'm talking about, then you can go watch that. Basically what I ended up doing in that one was completely encapsulating all of the gems, and I don't really want to do that. I am going to take off the keyring part so that it doesn't become a permanent fixture. Plus, like I said, it gets hot, so anything that we can do to avoid burning ourselves, I'm all for. So we'll take that off and get that out of the way. Plus, when it comes to the AB side, we want to make sure that this is nice and level to be able to, set proper. I guess there's no other way to do this but then just to go in. I just want to give it one final stir to make sure, and I'm going to use my toothpick to kind of add it. I'm going to be focusing, if you can see there, on those spots where there's bigger gaps, and for the most part I'm just going to put it on the tip of my toothpick and just let it kind of plop in there, because it'll act as a binder. But just in case it gets on top of the gems, that's why I have the glitter in there. And this, will be a fairly tedious process. And on the opposite side, we're just going to brush it on there. And I'm just literally dabbing in there and then going in between the gems. And if, like I said, if I get it on the gems, it's quite fine. And obviously I won't be doing the whole thing on camera because that would take so long. But I just kind of want to show you what I'm doing. And more or less, this is just kind of to let you know if it's going to even be something that is worth doing. And you could, even if you're just more worried about the edges, you could just go on the edges of that and seal them in. I know a lot of people were concerned about these being like in your purse and having the gems pop off while they're in your purse or something. And that is a very valid concern. I know you probably were hoping I wouldn't put glitter in it, but this is a gift and I want it to look as nice as possible. So that's why I have chosen to add the glitter. You certainly do not have to. Resin dries shiny, so I'm not super concerned if there wasn't enough glitter, I would not be concerned if there was no glitter. I'm working and talking at the same time, so I am going to zoom back out because I realize that I'm probably getting off camera and it's probably going to make quite a few people angry. So right now I'm just focusing it on the edges. And I do believe that this is an acrylic keyring. Just like I said, I'm just going to touch in there. And with the UV, the reason I'm doing both is because they're different processes and you do not need a lamp to do this. You can get away with putting it in the sunlight for an hour. Quicker if it's not cloudy, but this time of year I would be worried. And the nice thing with the UV resin, or the 2-part resin, is that you can get them all done, set them aside, and forget about it. And no extra work is needed. It doesn't have as toxic of fumes as the UV resin. The UV resin is horrid, but I don't smell it as much with the 2-part resin. So looks like I'm just going right over. Well, no sense in putting it off. Let's just try the paintbrush method and see if that goes a little faster. For some of these, like I said, I'm only doing this because I don't mind if mine are covered, but you could be a little bit more tedious in this so that you would just be getting it around the gems. It would just take a very long time. And I'm just making sure, the glitter kind of helps me too, because of the lights that I'm using for filming. It's not as easy to see where I've laid the resin down, especially because all I'm really seeing is the glitter of the rhinestones, which when wet is making them very vibrant. The resin is really doing something pretty incredible to these. Hopefully this is a good method as far as sealing goes and not completely encapsulating them. I'm trying to just use a thin layer on my paintbrush and just brush that right over the top. And this time, instead of making you wait till the very end to see how both turn out, I'm going to show you right away how the resin turns out. So I am going to finish brushing this on this piece, and then I'm going to put it under the lights for a couple minutes. I'm going to attempt to do the torch, but my torch is dying. And by torch, I mean the flashlight. Mine needs batteries, so it doesn't like to, it's not as powerful as it should be, or as when I first got it. So I'm going to use my nail lamp. And all of this stuff I will link down below again. I didn't link all the individual Sophie and Toffee links last time because, quite honestly, I don't have the patience to navigate through all their products. But if time allows, I will do that this time because I've never used a lot of the resin, the epoxy resin. Only what I have is what I've gotten from Sophie and Toffee, with the exception of this UV resin. I bought this on Amazon because I spilled my first bottle of Sophie and Toffee. And this was before I had decided to get a subscription to them. I do have a coupon code. Anybody can get it. You know, it's not like a special coupon code that only I can have. Anybody can sign up to like share with your friends or whatever and give them a coupon code. It benefits both of you. Like, you'll both get something for it. I don't remember exactly, but I want to say it's like your friends get 10% off, and if you recommend enough friends to go use your referral link, that's what it is. It's not an affiliate, it's a referral. Then you also get like a $10 coupon or something. I want to put a thin layer over that big gem because I think that will be nice for it. And I'm just spreading this. So I'm going to put this under the light. I've just got this top corner left to paint the resin on. Then I'm going to ever so slightly move this into my... I'm trying to be very careful because I have not picked up my gloves yet. So I'm being careful not to touch it with my hands, which is proving to be quite difficult. So I'm going to go cook this little butterfly and see how she turned out. So I will see you when that is complete. Okay, let's put a little bit on the journal. That one, I just got the butterfly in there, and stupidly I forgot to move my cup. So it started cooking on me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush a little bit on the top part, and then we'll find a few little areas in which I can kind of experiment. I want the thinnest layer possible on this, as the cover is going to be bending a little bit. And this is partially also why I wanted the glitter, because I'm going to be coating it. So I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle to the rest of it that wasn't going to be getting anything. And I want to see if this thin layer is going to be enough to, do the job. So literally just doing the edges to experiment. It wouldn't be too much of a pain, I don't think, to do more of the journal. And obviously if it works out, then that's what I'll do. And I'm going to try to just do half on this edging just to see, obviously we'll have to wait then, see what the results are going to be of this until I add the two-part resin, the epoxy. And I really want to do my best to get it in there, but I want it to be super thin because I still want it to be as flexible as possible, because I don't want them just to snap off. So that's going to be like the absolute best possible test. And the brush kind of does help to move it in, thin it out. And you want to try to just move it through. And let's see, halfway is about right there. And I actually think if any of them are going to take this to the resin well, it's going to be the rhinestones, since I think rhinestones are already made out of resin. I could be very wrong. They could be plastic for all I know. If anybody else knows, let me know in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, I just got a tiny bit left in there, so I'm just going to try to do just around the dream catcher. If there's enough, then I will continue painting inside the dream catcher. I know I'll probably have a lot more of the epoxy resin, the two-part resin, since I didn't cook it like I did with this stuff. But so I'm going to keep going on with this, and then in the next clip we will see what the results of the UV resin is, and then we'll move on and see the two-part resin. All right, we will be back with some results. So you can see here where it's shiny, that's where I've added the resin, if you couldn't tell. There we go. So I'm just gonna keep going with that, and I kind of want to leave this part blank just so we can compare the gems, because I'll be painting up there. So I don't know, we'll see what I feel like when all is said and done. This one I gotta do a little bit more work to get the resin to get inside in between the gems, so I don't want to waste your valuable time with that when I'm sure you're just here for results and to see if it actually works. So I will see you in the next clip with half of the results. So here we go. Here's the results of this one. And I will take some pictures before I, start so you can kind of see. Because my camera's not really going to do a whole lot. But you can still see a good amount of sparkle from the gems and the rhinestones. So going thin with a paintbrush is definitely the way to go. And just to show, here is the side that's not covered and the sparkle that you are getting. And then turning it over. And you're not losing anything this way with going with a thin coat and not encapsulating them. I took my time to use a brush and go over to make sure I was getting the extra off. So it was just a thin layer on the top. I feel like they are well protected. Nothing is moving. I am trying to pull them off and they're not moving. So that is amazing. I am pumped by this and I hope the rest of you are just as excited as I am. So this is just the UV. Now we got to see if the 2-part resin is going to be the same. I'm going to go ahead and let's just flip back and forth so that you can see it almost became more sparkly because it's got that layer on top, but I'm seeing through the my camera lens, so I'm not looking in real life. So let me look down. It's like, it made it more shiny and it protected them. Even this big gem, that ain't going nowhere. It's not sliding, it's not moving, it's not sticky. It's good. You're not going to have to worry about stuff getting stuck in between there now. And you did not have to compromise the integrity of the sparkle. Oh, yeah. So, my journal is still being cooked. It was a little bit harder to cook that because I had to do it, in rounds, and it's still going right now. So, we're just going to let that keep doing its thing while I go take pictures for you. And then we'll quickly do the 2-part resin. And I mean, there's not gonna be a whole lot to see on that. I'm just gonna take pictures and it'll be a better way to show you. Okay, I am back with all of the results of this little resin experiment. So let's finish with the butterfly. I did all of the 2-part resin off camera because in the previous sealing video I went through everything step by step, and without further ado, here she is. This is the 2-part resin. Really there's not much of a difference, which is why I kind of conducted this experiment with using both, so that you could choose what you preferred. If you want to get it done nice and quick, then you're going to use the UV resin. You'll be done with it in a matter of minutes. Or if you want the low odor, less harsh smell, and you have the patience, then you're going to want to use the 2-part epoxy resin. That takes 24 hours to set up. And it gives you 40 minutes of work time, whereas the UV resin, you have quite a bit more work time. So as you can see, it enhanced it. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just so excited that it worked as well as it did. I am not going to lie. I had my doubts. And I know that you cannot tell the difference between the two. I thought maybe there might be a slight bit of difference between them, but it's perfect. And just to show you, I'm going to do 2 things here. First, I'm going to pull as hard as I can to show you that those did not come off. And then I'm going to take my nail and push. And you can see they're not moving. It's nice. Maybe that one, because I wasn't working fast enough and my 2-part resin started getting gummy. But I did add the holographic glitter. I don't know, I'm going to get as close up as the camera will allow. I just used enough to add a little bit of extra sparkle, but you can see that while it did kind of pool up a little bit, and that was my application in trying to rush working under my lights and under a camera. So using a brush is definitely the way to go versus just pouring it on. If you wanted to completely encapsulate it, of course, then you would just pour it on. But just, you can buy some cheap brushes from Walmart, the dollar store. I will link some that I think would be good for this from Amazon. But I also, on the UV resin, I used a natural hairbrush, and then, no, I used a synthetic hairbrush. And then with the 2-part resin, I used a natural hairbrush. I didn't find a difference with either, with the exception of, I think it's on the journal, which I'm going to show you in just a second here. So I am incredibly impressed with the results, and I think that this is the best possible way to seal them. I even just did partial on the top there, if you can see where it's shiny and then it stops. I did seal part of that to show you how you can make it look like a more complete piece by doing that. But it won't make a difference otherwise. And I probably should have went all the way because that's where the drills didn't quite fit on there. And the post review is coming for this. So you'll be able to hear my thoughts on the actual pieces themselves with the post review. That should be coming up in a couple of days. So very, very nice. Now I know you guys are all wondering, what about the journal? We have seen enough with the butterfly. Well, here it is. Ha! Let me zoom back out. I was zoomed in for the butterfly. But I have a couple of suggestions. It worked just fine. I'll get nice and close. Up here is the UV resin. And I just want to kind of bring it around and show you. And I actually think it enhanced it. Again, I did, if you look really close, I used the glitter in this because it had already been mixed up. But I wanted it to kind of enhance it. And I purposely did not do the center so that you could see the difference between the shiny. Also, this feather is not done. But you can't even see the line from where I did the UV resin to the epoxy resin. And so let's come back again so you can see that it still has a lot of sparkle. Keeping in mind that this feather does not have any resin on it whatsoever, nor do these gems here. And I'm going to point out that these purple ones have a coating on them, and I'll give you a close-up of those. Some of that stuff is harder to see without, the naked eye. And also it made some of these bigger pieces look more gemstone-like than they had already. And you can see that in comparison with the pearls, and I'll show you. I do have some pictures that I will insert in just a few minutes here, but so on the bottom here is the 2-part resin, and I just love that gloss that it added, and it's not sticky whatsoever. It has a nice feel to it, and I did go on the edges a little bit and a little bit on the spine, which is, I did this for an important reason, because I'm using hard resin. The UV resin is a hard resin, and epoxy, there's not a soft version. But with the UV resin, there is a soft version, which is more flexible. I don't have any on hand, unfortunately. But I think for journals specifically, you're going to want to get the soft type, not the hard type. It might even be called thin. I'm not 100% sure on that. There's so many different names for the same thing. But so for the journal, I mean, if you don't mind having a stiffer cover, which the only thing that does is it kind of makes it a little bit harder to lay flat, and it does pull away at the spine. But if that doesn't bother you, then it's a non-issue. You could even cut that paper and re-glue it down if you really wanted to. If it was for personal use, obviously you could peel up the paper and re-tape it down. It comes away very easily, and then you could realign it to adjust for the resin on the spine. You could not resin the spine, and that would take away that issue too. I just want to show you how easily that pulls away. So then you can now readjust that so that when you're opening the cover, it's not pulling away on its own. So you would just lay it flat and re-glue, and of course then you're going to have this extra bit sticking out there. But it's, you know, if you want to seal it, that's something you're going to have to decide what's more important to you. To me, I don't mind just taking this right out. Just like that. And you could do other things to decorate this then. You could take scrapbooking paper and make some kind of dedication there if you wanted to. There's a number of things that you could do to compensate for losing that page and to make it so it's more flexible. But it did stiffen this cover up. But I think that the soft type, being a more flexible type of resin, would hold up better. Well, now that I took that paper off, I don't hear it. But with the paper still attached, I could hear it starting to crack. But I also want to do the test again. And if you've seen any of the videos related to this specifically, pay attention in the post review. Me opening it, just doing this to it, and it pulled those gems all up here off. When I was doing the drill with me and I tested it, it pulled it off. But you can see here, I am pushing as hard as I can, and they are not budging. So I didn't mind leaving these blank because I have more resin that I can go in with, but I thought it was important to show you what the difference looked like. And you can see that I believe, and this is just me, and you feel free to disagree with me, but I feel like it enhanced those gemstones. And I'll try to get a little bit closer for you to see the difference in the two. I'm trying to get them so that all of the feathers will sparkle so that you can see that. But I do believe that it added more shine when it comes to the rhinestone. So I think that's where the magic is for resin and sealing. So the last thing I want to show you is there's that pearl and there's that one, and I'll try to kind of rotate it. It had a very, very light iridescent coating on it. Not much. And I did do the center right here just because I thought if I decided not to go in and resin it, that it would kind of look cool to do the center. So I really like the shiny wet look of it. I think it does something to add to it. I love that I added the holographic glitter because now I think it ties the whole thing in together. I think it would look just as good without the glitter. When I do more sealing videos or more sealing of the other butterflies, if you want, I will be more than happy to film that, and I will do one of them with no glitter so that you can see what it looks like, but I don't feel like there's enough glitter in there to ruin it. I also wanted to get close up on those purple gems for you so you can see that it did not lose that iridescence that is painted on top of it. In fact, it helped to keep it on because a lot of times when you place those with a drill pen, you can pull that coating off. I typically use tweezers when I add it. So the resin helped to seal in that coating, and it's not going anywhere. I also believe that it helped to enhance these gems. I did say it, but I'm saying it again. I think it helped bring out a beautiful shine within the red and especially the yellow ones. I think it just did something overall to this that now this notebook, it's going to be good to go. I will never have to worry about losing anything while I'm working in this notebook. I won't have to worry that once I close it, I'm going to have to re-adhere a bunch of gems. So it did what I wanted it and needed it to do. So now it's your turn in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is this a successful experiment? Are you happy that I did this for you? I'm happy I did this for you, so I hope you're happy. Do you plan on doing this? Are you now convinced of resin being a great sealant for some things? Maybe not diamond paintings, unless you do it with a brush, which is going to be something I try. And again, if you want to see me film that, doing further experiments with resin, let me know. I will go back to those same exact diamond paintings where I encapsulated them and I'll just brush it on. I have plenty of resin to work with yet, so don't feel like I'm wasting anything. It's all worth it if we find an amazing new way to seal our notebooks, accessories, and diamond paintings. So let me know down in the comments. I'll even add a poll if you don't want to comment. So just click on that eye in the upper corner and it should drop down some videos and a poll. Just scroll down through there till you find the poll. And I'm going to ask 2 questions. The first one is going to be, do you want to see further resin experiments on diamond paintings? And then the second one is going to be, do you want to see the resin sealant on more accessories without glitter to see if it makes a difference? I want to insert those pictures that I took here now. There will be side by side of the butterflies, at least, with flash, without flash, and then it'll just run through the UV, the 2-part, and there should be a side-by-side with the plain, and I'll have a series of 3. The one without anything should be in the center, and then it should be flash and no flash, and I'll just take a couple pictures of the notebook so that you can see what that looks like with and without flash, and I'll try to insert a picture of all of this before, but like you can see right here, it's matte behind there, so it's kind of obvious, but that's why I didn't do the feathers, so you could see some of the gemstones without the resin attached to it. But let me insert those pictures here for you. So, all right, friends, let me know all of those things I asked you down in the comments. And before you go, if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you as a part of the family. Hit that like button. It helps me so, so much. And don't forget to hit that bell so you are always notified when I upload videos just like this one. And with that, I will let you go. Have an awesome day, friends. Have fun doing whatever it is that truly, truly makes you happy. I love you, friends, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.